Funding from the federal government is an issue tribal nations across the United States will be grappling with in coming years. That was part of the discussion at the annual convention of the National Congress of American Indians held in Tulsa this week. Thousands of tribal leaders and Indian advocates from across the nation spent the week at the Cox Convention Center talking about issues pertaining to Native Americans, including tribal sovereignty, health care, and Indian child welfare. Another important topic at the convention was violence against Native American women. According to the NCAI Policy Research Center, American Indian women are 2.5 times as likely to experience violent crimes compared to all other races. One major contributing factor is that tribal police have little power to arrest many of the perpetrators who are living on Indian land.
Well, as soon as I sign this bill, that ends.
In March, President Barack Obama signed the Violence Against Women Reauthorization Act. Part of the act restores the right of tribal police to arrest non-Indians for certain crimes on tribal land. It was viewed as a victory for Native American women who worked for many years to get Washington's attention about what was happening to them.
Over the years, what happened was that white men, non-Native men, would start hunting, what they call hunting, on the reservations. They realized they could go on to a Native American reservation, rape, abuse, do murder a Native woman, and there's absolutely nothing anyone could do to them.
Oklahoma native Kimberly Norris Guerrero is a member of the Cherokee tribe. She's also an actress. Guerrero played the housekeeper in the Pulitzer Prize-winning Broadway play, August Osage County. Recently, she played the role of a federal government employee in a play during the annual convention of U.S. tribal nations. She shares this scene with actor and domestic violence survivor Diane Millett, who is playing herself.
My husband, he's not enrolled, he's white. And every time I call our tribal police for help, they tell me they don't have the power to do anything.
They don't.
I thought maybe you could give us a grant to help our tribe with money to arrest these men who...
Ma'am, that's not how our office works.
Oh.
I'm really sorry. My office gives grants to tribes, but we can't grant your tribe the power to protect you. I wish I could tell you something different.
The play, Sliver of a Full Moon, is the story of the movement that restored authority of Indian tribes over non-Indian abusers on tribal land. Mary Kathryn Nagle, an Oklahoma Native and Cherokee Nation member, is the playwright. She believes tribes in America don't have accurate statistics on violence against Native American women because for too long it has just been accepted.
For a long time, women learned there's no point in reporting because no one's going to do anything about it. And in fact, it probably just puts me at greater risk, speaking up about it. But the statistics are likely, they think about 1 out of every 3 Native American women will be raped or sexually assaulted in her lifetime.
According to the NCAI Policy Research Center, 34% of American Indian and Alaska Native women will be raped in their lifetimes, compared to 19% of African American women, 18% of white women, and 7% of Asian and Pacific Islander women. When it comes to being subjected to violence by an intimate partner, the numbers for Indian women are even higher, 39%. Of those, more than 60% describe their attacker as non-Indian, and more likely than not, were never prosecuted. The reason? A United States Supreme Court ruling in 1978 that said tribal courts do not have jurisdiction over non-Indians on tribal land. Juana Dixon is the first vice president of the NCAI and on the Violence Against Women's Task Force.
It's like giving a freedom card to go be violent, and no one's going to stop you. Just the simple notion of that in America, that someone can go and do a violent act and not be charged, that's worse than a third world country.
These actors portray the frustration of tribal police when receiving domestic violence calls.
Where are you? He did what? Stay where you are.
Who is it?
It's Pamela's mom.
Aunt Lily?
Her husband's got a baseball bat.
No.
She's hiding in the closet, so you can't find her, but he's looking for her. I can hear him.
We gotta get over there.
No. We can't.
Look, I don't care if I took the night off. It's Aunt Lily.
He's white.
3 of the actors in the play have suffered domestic abuse in real life. Lisa Brunner is one of them. She vividly remembers an incident while holding her 10-month-old child.
He slapped me across the face, and if I would have pulled back, he would have hit her. And when he hit me across the face, my face, of course, turned this way, and I'm looking right at her, and she's looking right at me. And I call that the slap of reality, that right at that moment, I realized that I had just become my mother, and my daughter had just become me.
In the play, Brunner relives what she told lawmakers while lobbying in Washington, D.C. to change the law, that she was born into a life of domestic violence. Her emotion on stage is real.
My mom is screaming, "No, David, no!" And I see him grab the gun. And he starts beating my mother over the head with the butt of the shotgun until the only screams that could be heard were mine.
Actor Diane Millett married a non-Indian and lived with him on her reservation in Colorado. In 1 year, she says he assaulted her more than 100 times. Millett also told her story on Capitol Hill. After the repeated assault, she left her husband and got a protective order. But Millett says that didn't stop him from walking into her place of work and vowing to kill her.
You promised until death, so death it shall be. He was armed with a 9mm gun. If not for my very brave coworker, I would not be alive today. My coworker prevented my murder by pushing me out of harm's way.
Millett's coworker was wounded but survived. Her husband fled across state lines while local, county, state, and federal law enforcement officers discussed how to proceed.
Where did the shots get fired from? Where did the bullet land? Where did the victim land? What was going on? Just to find out who had jurisdiction.
2 weeks later, her estranged husband was arrested in another state after a police chase.
He was extradited back to Colorado, and because he crossed state lines, they considered it a threat to the police officers, so they offered him a plea agreement of aggravated driving under revocation.
He was never charged with wounding her coworker or trying to kill her.
Because he had never been arrested or charged for any domestic crimes against me on tribal land, the district attorney treated him as a first-time offender.
Although the federal government does have authority to prosecute domestic violence involving non-Indians, the NCAI says federal authorities don't have the resources to investigate those crimes, and that it takes federal and state officials hours or even days to respond to domestic violence calls. It's believed tribal police on any native land won't hesitate to respond quickly once the Reauthorization of the Violence Against Women Act takes effect in 2015.
Congress said, we're recognizing the inherent sovereign authority of tribes to prosecute for violation of protection orders, for dating violence and domestic violence, but it has to fit within those categories because that's what Congress said in the reauthorization.
In Oklahoma, there are no reservations, but Chrissy Nemo, who is the Assistant Attorney General of the Cherokee Nation, says the law will apply to Indian trust or restricted land within the state.
Before this, if there was an act of domestic violence, whether it was in a hotel room, at a casino, on the gaming floor, whatever, if it was a non-Indian who committed that domestic violence, the tribe could not prosecute them. And when it is a mixed crime, for lack of the better word, if it's a non-Indian committing a crime against an Indian person, the state also can't prosecute.
The play, Sliver of a Full Moon, tells just part of the story about the movement to give Indian women more protection against violence. The law does not apply in Alaska or for crimes of murder and rape.
That's why it's called Sliver of a Full Moon, because it's beautiful light in what has been a very dark sky since 1978. And women have died, children have died, and nothing has been or will ever be done. But things can change from here on, but we still need to keep up the fight until we have a full moon up there of justice for Native women on their native land.
Oklahoma 4th District Congressman Tom Cole, a member of the Chickasaw tribe, was portrayed in the play. The NCAI credits his leadership for the passage of the Violence Against Women Reauthorization Act.